everybody. Hope you're all doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. Today I'm going to be taking just kind of a general look at the crypto markets, going over a couple different things, taking a glance at a few different charts. Then I'll be taking a quick look at the XRP chart, as well as looking at Telcoin, which made an incredible move today. The one thing that I find very interesting about this particular cycle that I don't remember seeing in any previous cycle was the sheer amount of people that have absolutely gotten destroyed in this market. Well-known crypto traders, crypto investors, who literally turned a few $1,000s into deca-million-dollar profits, have literally been completely wiped out, utterly destroyed during this season by taking excessive risk. And it's truly sad to see, because using leverage increases your risk exponentially and essentially creates a way that the big dogs, the institutions, the hedge funds can take your crypto from you. But if you're holding your crypto in a cold storage wallet, for example, or holding a spot position, the only way that you can lose your crypto is if the price goes to zero. And even then, you wouldn't lose the coin, it just wouldn't be worth anything. But so many people have gotten destroyed, and I sure hope that you have learned during this season by seeing what has happened to so many of these other traders, so many of these other investors, so that you personally don't have to experience the same thing. I know what it's like to have big losses, but I also know what it's like to have incredible gains. And one thing that I always focus on is risk management. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the charts. Use the coupon code NOVA to get 50% off of your first month off all 3 of my Patreon membership tiers. So come and join us. You'll be glad you did. Now, I just wanted to show you a couple of the posts that I saw on X yesterday, which was absolutely flooded with people saying, I'm done with crypto, I'm over it, it's a scam, I lost my life savings. Now, I know that a lot of these posts will recycle the same picture and then just add their thoughts to the general message, but I think it's really interesting to see that when X was absolutely filled to the brim with people in anger, frustration, literally just shit posting about how crypto is done, it's a bear market, it's a scam, all of these things, most of them getting wrecked horribly, which is very unfortunate. Is it any coincidence that the very next day after we saw this peak insanity, that all of a sudden the market starts to turn around and we see a very profitable day? Even if it is just a dead cat bounce, even still, a lot of these people could have recovered a very nice percentage of the money that they had lost had they not been completely wiped out. But there's posts of these people just smashing stuff, which is likely a result of people using excessive leverage on their positions, risking a lot more than they should have been risking. And as I said in a post yesterday, if you engage in iron risk, there's a very good chance that you could end up paying the iron price. And another thing that this shows you, if you cannot manage your emotions and you are losing your self-control to the point to where you're damaging and destroying your property, you have no business trading whatsoever, because people with this kind of attitude are never, ever going to win this game. But this just basically demonstrates the complete inability for these people to manage their emotion, which is exactly why the institutions, the market makers, and the big dogs do exactly what they do, because they know it throws you off your game. One thing that we know for sure is these people aren't going to be a risk anymore, because they're very likely completely broke and have now essentially destroyed their ability to trade by destroying all of their equipment. Now, jumping over and taking a look at the markets, we can see here that the Dow did pretty well, up about 0.5 point. Still just below that 50,000 mark. The NASDAQ did incredibly well as well, up 0.75 point. The Russell 2000 starting to gain a little bit more momentum at about 1.5%. The S&P 500 scratched out about 0.5 point gain. The dollar is still trading above 100, which is a good thing. And you can see from this chart that there still is this gap resting right here, just under the 101 mark, as well as a couple volume imbalances just below the equilibrium zone. And I still think at some point these are very likely going to be filled, and price is getting very close to this first gap right here. But the interesting thing is with the crypto market especially, we're actually starting to see that a lot of these cryptos are starting to act more like currencies rather than speculative instruments. So at times we're seeing it move right with the dollar, which is very unusual. The volatility index has come down about 5.5%. We can see that gold and silver are still holding up very well. They have been correcting a little bit. Silver is still trading well above the gap here that's centered at about $40.17. I still believe at some point this gap will be filled, but we're also seeing the CCI start to charge up a little bit. Looks like we could see a move to the upside here soon. Gold, very similar to what we're seeing on the silver chart, having a gap right here. Although I don't have it marked out on this particular chart, it is centered at about 3,450 range. CCI looking very similar to what we were seeing on silver. Bitcoin looks to be actually forming an ABC right here. So there's a good chance we could see a nice bounce moving back up into this bearish fair value gap, starting at about that 113,000 range. We did see this WXY fill in very nicely after the flash crash, with these candles here sweeping the liquidity from that range. But now it does appear that we are forming what could be an ABC correction right here. So we could see a nice bounce up back into that area, as we definitely have a three-way move moving to the downside here, which could definitely be an A, which means we could be moving into that B wave soon to form this flat. But price definitely broke through this bullish order block right here, as well as this bullish fair value gap, bottoming out right here on this bullish fair value gap, centered at about 99,900 range. XRP's pushing about 6.5%. XLM doing pretty good at about 4.3%. Algo at about 5%. Algo actually fell down below the lower trend line of this channel that I've been talking about in my recent videos, which we definitely did not want to see. The only good thing about it is it is holding just slightly within this bullish order block, and even though it wicked through it, the candle body's left just a little bit of room here. Price is now starting to trade back up above that trend line, which could be a good thing, but we definitely don't want to see it break down below this range. H-bar having a similar pattern with this same type of a channel held up much better. Price held right here at this bullish fair value gap, didn't even come close to coming down to this lower trend line. We can see this weak doji reverse waterfall right here, which is actually an echo, has been touched numerous times. It came right back down, dipped right back to that same area before bouncing into today's move. Taking a look at ADA, we can see it's up about 5% as well, holding up fairly decent, trading down to this lower trend line right here, but holding right within this bullish fair value gap. Quant made an incredible move today, looking very similar to what we saw on the algo chart, breaking below this lower trend line, breaking below this bullish fair value gap here, but immediately reversing right here and jumping right back into that channel. I can only imagine how many shorts got caught slipping right here. But currently sitting at 18.36%, that's an incredible move for the day. XDC is up about 3.4%. Which actually broke below this bullish order block right here on the daily chart, traded right down to this lower trend line that was already resting on the chart. Now we just have to see if this is in fact the bottom or if price is going to go lower. We're kind of at one of those points where I still think we're right at a coin flip. The markets could go down considerably more, but we also could see some incredible gains at this point. It's hard to say really. ZBCN made a really nice move right here, up 10% on the day, showing a very interesting pattern as it's been trading within this wedge marked out right here, completing this WXY, coming down to this lower point where we got today's bounce of this candle right here. We are seeing a move that has been divided in three-way subdivisions, being 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. So there is a chance with ZBCN that rather than this being a WXY, this could actually be an ABCDE, which means the E would be down here on the bottom side. So this could be a bullish formation that we're looking at right now. It remains to be seen if this is a 5-way move or if it is now in fact complete with the WXY. This is definitely one that I'll be keeping an eye on. As of yesterday, I added ZBCN to my daily buy list, so I'm buying a little bit of ZBCN and a little bit of Telcoin every single day. If price continues to move down, I have other assets that I will also be looking at acquiring, but those assets aren't anywhere even close to the range that I'm looking for in order to start buying them. But in regards to Telcoin and ZBCN, I think they present a good buying opportunity, even at these prices. If they continue to go down, I'll just keep buying. And you can see that sticking to my plan and buying Telcoin for the last couple of weeks, buying a little bit each day, the farther the price was going down, I was acquiring more by increasing the amount that I was spending and getting a much bigger chunk of crypto in return. So as it was getting cheaper, I was increasing the amount that I was buying, but I was buying every single day. And as of yesterday, it was looking pretty bad. But then in the blink of an eye, in one day, it all turned around. That right there is the power of compound interest applied to a strategy of acquiring additional crypto. Now, jumping over and taking a look at the XRP chart, this is on the weekly chart. We can see that we have an expanding, broadening wedge pattern right now, which gives us a couple interesting things to look at. If we go off of these points right here, which at the time would have been this low and this high, pulling these fib levels here, we can see that the price came down, perfectly hitting the 1.702 before we saw this move to the upside, coming up and setting the new all-time high here. By setting these fib levels right here, going off of this high as well as this low, it gives us these fib levels here, which during the flash crash we saw dip right back down, hitting the 1.702 yet again before bouncing up into the range we're currently seeing. If we flip over to the monthly chart really quick, you can see that there's a fair value gap resting right here, which gives us this bullish fair value gap that you can see in the green. You can see that after this formed, every single candle that is formed above this since that time, going back to January of 2025, every single candle body is resting above that fair value gap. Even though price has wicked through these, it's not the wick that does the damage to a fair value gap, it's the candle body itself. But I'd say that's still a pretty strong sign looking at all of the price action we've seen, still having every single candle body resting above that point. But if we switch back over to the weekly, we are also forming on the chart right here that you can see with this orange line, a bullish hidden divergence forming off of this point here on the week of June 16th, coming up to the current price action here. This last candle that we just saw for this week came right down and bounced right off the top of that bullish fair value gap perfectly. When we go to the indicator, we see the exact same thing, with the indicator trending to the downside and with the price action trending to the upside. The last time XRP formed a bullish fair value gap on the chart was right here, forming a bullish hidden divergence with the price action rising and the indicator decreasing. Once this divergence had formed, we then saw an increase of price from the formation of that bullish hidden divergence up here to what at that time was a new all-time high, which was an increase in price just under 600%. And we are now starting to see another bullish hidden divergence forming on the charts currently. Now there's no guarantees that this is going to break out to the upside. It's something we'll have to keep an eye on. But in order for this to fail, we would need to see the price move below this point right here, sitting at about $1.90. But it could be a very good sign, and I find it very interesting that this last divergence formed during the week of November 4th, and we are currently now in the week of November 3rd. It's exactly a year apart. And as one person who follows my channel frequently usually writes in the comments, says, "Are we living in a simulation?" I do believe we are living in a simulation, because what are the odds of all these weird things always happening? Now jumping over and taking a look at the Telcoin chart really quick. This is also on the weekly chart. We had a 5-wave move to the upside. We've now formed a WXY to the downside, which looks to be complete right now, trading within this descending wedge pattern. If we dial in on this a little bit further, you can see that price action going back since the week of July 14th has been trading in this well-defined channel right here, bouncing off of the top range and the bottom range numerous times. Price bounced exactly off of this lower trend line, as you can see right here, as well as this lower trend line. So we have a confluence point right here of where two trend lines are crossing, and the price action pushed right down into it, wicking through this bullish fair value gap, which is still in play, as not even a body of a candle has closed within it. It looks like to me we could be setting up with Telcoin for a very big move. Now when that's going to happen, I have no idea. If it's going to happen, I have no idea. But between reaching the apex of this triangle here, as well as this descending triangle here, holding up at this point of confluence, there's a very good chance that at some point we could see a move to the upside, at a minimum up to this upper trend line, perhaps breaking out and testing this bearish fair value gap, this upper trend line, and if we were super lucky, coming up to this bearish order block and attempting to challenge it. If price can get up above this trend line, there's a very good chance that we could see an attempt to crack this order block. And if that gets cracked, man, I will just be loving life like no other. And as we can see, as of today, with Telcoin moving up as much as it did, nearly that 29% gain in a single day, you can see how quickly Telcoin can move when it really wants to. But even beside that, if you do research into this company and you look into the potential, I think Telcoin has a bright future ahead. At the very least, it's very likely that it would be acquired by a much larger company. So it's definitely one to watch. I think Telcoin and ZBCN have an incredible future. But that's not financial advice, that's just my opinion. And if you've been looking for a place to trade, you definitely want to check out BitUnix, whether you want to trade leverage responsibly or just spot positions, or perhaps even save some coin by swapping your cryptos for zero fees. BitUnix is the only place that I trade crypto, and it's where I swap all of my cryptos. So definitely check it out. You'll be glad that you did. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Good luck. Have a great day. And don't forget that the best is yet to come.